Welcome everybody to this coffee with pretty much some of the most relevant companies that we got on the PMS market at the moment. As you know, Vitur, it's an event we hold every year in Malaga. Vitur is, the idea of Vitur is to have this platform for vacation rentals and to show this industry or this segment across the tourism industry. That's what been our main focus and our main agenda throughout the years. And now we started doing these webinars. The idea of the webinars is to give you guys the opportunity and to have a conversation and a coffee with the top experts from the industry so we can get some insights from them. Today we have Manuel. He's the founder and CEO of Avantio. We got Irene Marín, she's the CTO and partner at Icnea. We got Boris Heister, he's the CEO, CTO and founder of MasterYield, and Amiad Soto, who is a co-founder and CEO of Guesty. So I'm just gonna unmute all of them so we can just have them here with us so you can guys see them.
Buenas noches a todos y gracias Carlos por invitarme. Continuar en inglés ya que mi español está oxidado.
It's okay.
Buenas tardes a todos. Un saludo.
Buenas tardes y hello to everybody. Yeah.
Well, the idea of the panel is, as I told you guys, the idea is to be a bit casual. I'm going to be throwing some questions to you, but obviously you feel free to make your comments anytime. I got my first question actually. With this new situation, what do you think, guys? Like Manuel, for example, what are the main challenges for software companies like yours? What are your priority features, Manuel, at the moment?
Thank you, Carlos. Well, I think one of the main challenges we have is to be able to adapt to the needs of the market and demands of our clients. As you know, this is a big challenge because the market is constantly changing and evolving. So in order to do this, you need to have with you a very talented team that is able to anticipate these needs and get things done, especially in this situation of coronavirus, so that everything is changing very rapidly. And apart from that, of course, you need to have sufficient financial resources because this software company is an industry that you have to invest heavily year by year to remain competitive. So you have to be profitable or be backed by external investors. And in the case of Avantio, we don't have venture capital, and we have been growing organically and reinvesting our profits for 10 years by now. About our priorities and revenue management, well, is something we want to continue to work. We want to make easier for our clients to change prices and occupation rules, as well as to automate these changes. And the challenge we have here in revenue management in Avantio is to do it easily and in a friendly way. So you don't have to go to a university or be an expert to establish your revenue price revenue strategy. That's what we want to achieve. That's one of our objectives this year. Another big issue for this year in Avantio is operations. It's an area that is more and more complex and requires a lot of work from property managers. And not only because there are more tax and protocols than ever, but also because you need to control also the quality of the service. So it's very important to have a good operations system in order to do that, and in order to automate tasks and reduce costs in order to be able to scale and be profitable. And the last area we are going to work this year is accounting. Accounting is an area that sometimes is not given all the importance that it has. And we think in Avantio is very important. We want our clients to have a good financial control of the business. And we want them to know where they are winning or losing money. And to guarantee the profitability and the future of the business. And this need of accounting is becoming evident now in the coronavirus crisis. There's a lot of companies struggling now, and I think it's important to have a good accounting system.
Great, thank you very much. Irene, what do you think, like with this situation, what are the current initiatives from property managers? How can they adapt and adjust to this new reality?
Okay, so, well, first of all, it's really difficult to know what is the right solution here, because we are in a situation that we have never been before. It's a global pandemic. One of the main problems that we will have to be able to recover is the fear of people, fear of traveling, I think. So a really important thing is for the travelers, for the hosts, to have trust, to not be afraid to travel. So it will be really important for the property managers to improve their cleaning, their cleaning standards, their cleaning their cleaning quality and the healthy quality of their properties, and to promote this, to be really clear of what they are doing, so that the host can trust them and is not afraid. Other things that they are quite important and that our property managers are already doing, or they are trying to do, is use a lot more promotions, use promotional codes, early booking discounts, because now early booking will be super important. Create pushers, like there are a lot of property managers that are being more flexible with their cancellation policies, and to try to not lose all the money of the reservations that they are getting the cancellations. They are doing pushers so that the reservation can be moved to next year, right? Another important thing is that we have to be prepared for local traveling. Like, people will start traveling again with car mostly. Like the idea that people will go will travel internationally right now in the short future is not possible, I think. So when we have the mobility back, we will start with our car, right? So we will travel locally. So a lot of our clients right now, they are changing their websites, for example, to be able to have the local languages. Some clients were really international. They had only English in their website. Right now, it's time to start putting, well, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, whatever. Change a little bit the mindset for this type of local travelers.
That's for sure. I mean, what we expect and what we see from the industry actually is going to be mainly Spanish travelers, and obviously they're going to move locally, and a lot of last-minute reservations. Amiad, we've been talking here about operations, the accounting, that we are adapting everything, our cancellation policies. What do you think should be? How should we review our revenue strategy, management strategy? Yeah. How do we adapt our model?
Well, first of all, just to introduce ourselves, Guesty is a full end-to-end property management software, and we've been around for the past 6.5 years. We are international in a way. We have about 10 offices around the world, and we have raised $60 million to date. The latest round was last year with 35, and we just started touching it now. We use this capital to invest back in our product, which means you, our customers, and basically develop features to enable you guys to save a lot of your costs during these times. Manuel talked about automation, and automation runs through our DNA. We started our company as a way to automate our own property management companies. And then we basically increase that to pretty much automate even as much as guest communication, automate check-in procedures, automate as much as possible throughout the life cycle of property managers. As for revenue management, I think, first of all, you need to take into account that history pricing is going to be very different now. The way that people normally look at pricing, they look back on seasonal traffic, they look back on what normal occupancy rates in this month, and they try to guess where pricing is. First of all, there are companies who do just pricing tools in order to find just the right place. To name a few, there are Price Labs, there's Wheelhouse. We have them in our marketplace, which means that you can choose them as well. We also offer our own yield management tools, which means that you can set all of your own rules to manage your pricing. One of the things we saw really successful are multi-rates, which means you can offer different rates with cancellation policy and flexible rentals as well. In these days, most people would probably opt in for flexible cancellation, but will be willing to pay more for that. And you can then have different type of pricing for each case. And we definitely see a lot of those property managers trying to distribute their inventory throughout as much OTAs as possible and try to get as much exposure as possible to get as many reservations as they can. As for one thing that we see in our data is the length of reservations are extending as well. So it's not only people are booking less, but they are booking longer stays. So if before the pandemic, the average was around 3 to 4 days, now it's around 9 to 14 days. And those are for quarantine apartments. People are just trying to isolate themselves, run away from the city into kind of like scenery, nature atmosphere. We definitely see that, and you should have different length of stay pricing, where if someone book 2 weeks, you give them an automatic discount, and most of the channels support length of stay pricing too, and you can push that through Guesty to those channels. On a business model, I definitely think that if you predict when the travel will, a little bit initiate back, until then, I would definitely circle most of my inventory towards the midterm monthly stays. I know Airbnb is supportive of monthly stay as well, and we also accept reservations that are multiple months in length. And that's a key reason for a lot of those companies that are normally living on short-term surviving these pandemic, basically filling the properties as much as possible, even if at the rate of their cost. That's pretty much what we see people doing around pricing. And the key aspect here, as Manuel suggested, is to have a simple user interface to set this up. Most people don't go through the education process to learn all the techniques and strategies. The good news is they don't necessarily need to anymore. There's been a huge progress of technology in the last few years of companies who offer automated tools that completely price properties based on demand, occupancy, and the rest of the economy.
Thank you very much. Totally agree. Actually, we see that behavior as well, like that length of the stays, as you said, like it looks like families, and which are our main users, at least over here, they're gonna choose just one destination and stay there for longer. We talk about technology and the evolution of software. Boris, you've been into this industry for quite a few decades already. You know the software. You've got a DNA that's come from hotels as well. You're very obviously, you saw the previous crisis. How do you think we should adapt our model in the current circumstances?
Thank you, Carlos. Yes, of course, I fully agree with all the different comments that have been made before. And on top of that, I would say that we are currently, or the most comments are now focused on the short term. I guess we have also to look into midterm and long term, because I hope that this will, within the next, let's say 6 months or next year, it will change. So we cannot only focus on right now, for example, about pricing. We cannot lower prices just for getting more occupancy. That will put the market down for the whole country or whatever. And I guess there are two different views that would say short-term and long-term. I hope, hopefully, in long-term it will recover and we will get back to where we were before. So, for example, about pricing and revenue management strategies, for example, to look into historical data, I guess it will be a need also again in the future, not for right now. And most especially, Irene was talking about local travelers or national travelers. I guess the market will not recover itself with just this kind of travelers. We need to get back to international flights and get back to where we were before. And the market will only recover once we get these international tourists, let's say European or international people, getting back to each of our countries, in this case, Spain. So it's not a matter only of for short term, but also to look into midterm and long term. So I guess revenue strategies are still very useful and important. And then, of course, all of our software companies will have to adapt very rapidly, as Manuel said before, to new tools and new apps and tools, check-in, check-out. All this is going to be a demand in the next weeks or months, because people, as Irene said before, will be afraid, will have fear, that we need to give them trust. And in order to have all these different tools to be adapted to our software, it's a challenge also, of course, for our software companies. And to keep up all these different apps and all integrated into one, let's say PMS, because a PMS will be the main brain or software tool to get all these integrations to be done. It is also, of course, challenging for us to adapt ourselves to all these new coming futures. Let's say people will have to look into, as we said before, cancellation policies. I guess people will see the option to guarantee a reservation with an advance payment. They will need to do that. We were one of the points in the topics where if there can be some kind of fraud or whatever, or false payments or whatever, I guess people need to look into TripAdvisor to trust the owner or membership that is going to be rented. And then we will have to, from our softwares, we will have to deliver an option to the property manager to be flexible and at the same time to guarantee the reservations, because of course in this new era cancellations will be very important, and we cannot, as we have seen before, how Booking was treating the cancellations and how the new software need to be adapted to these new cancellations. It's going to be also a challenge in the next future. So basically, I fully agree also with the length of the stay. It is increasing right now. People are, especially in vacational rentals, they are increasing the length of stay. And of course, you know, in the Spanish market, some of the players, some property managers are changing their properties from short or mid-term to long-term rentals. That is also a challenge for us as a software service company to be able to manage all these different situations.
Yeah, for sure. Well, basically what we're seeing is, as you guys have mentioned, we already see a change of behavior on our actual guests.
Carlos, if I can add something, can I add something?
Of course, please.
I agree totally with Boris and Amiad. I also would like to add that I think the solution is not to lower prices drastically, because we notice that the demand exists, the searches are high, the search volumes are as high as the year before. Reservations are not coming because of restrictions, but the demand is there. So my advice is not to of course, to make promotions. I think that's always not good, but not to be in panic and lower drastically the prices. I think it's much better to be more flexible, to work on the flexibility. For example, to establish, as my colleague said, a friendly cancellation policy. For example, you can set up a rule that if someone makes a booking and cancels before 15 days the check-in, there's a free cancellation policy, so they don't have to pay anything. So this is going to attract tourists that want to book in advance. And also, for example, work on the minimum stay requirements. Perhaps it's time to lower these requirements, to be more flexible and to work on that, and not only to work on prices, because this is going to harm your profitability. And I insist the demand is there and it's going to come. I think that in 2 weeks' time, we'll have a lot of last minute bookings, and the property managers have to be prepared for that, have to work on their website, because bookings are going to come.
I just want to add, you know, because Guesty is international, we already see numbers coming from different countries. Example can be United States, where we see the daily new reservations already at 75% of what it used to be before COVID-19, wow. which is great testament that people are booking again. But as I wrote to Anna here in the chat, most of the reservations come from now until 14 days in the future at the most. So if you do give discounts, I would do only last minute discounts. Anything that is more than 14 days in the future, wait. Those will come over time. I also want to address the fact that, you know, international borders are closed at the moment, but a lot of the countries already made agreements with other countries to open up similar risk countries. And an example is New Zealand and Australia, where they signed a deal where they have shared borders where everyone can fly between those countries. And European Union has already stated that they would have open borders for similar risk countries. And that means that any country that has the same amount of cases open, the same rate of new cases, will open their borders, and that will allow international borders between them, international travel between them.
Yeah, that's actually like, well, basically what we're saying here is as well, like, don't reduce your prices, increase your services. So there are many tools out there to do that. There are two things about recovery that you, Amiad, just mentioned a little bit. We talked about that a little bit afterwards. But now, like, we're saying that we see a shift on behavior on how our guests are behaving and what expectations they have. Obviously, a lot has to do with fear and trust. Do you guys, and this is a general question for all of you, like do you have like 3-5 recommendations in terms of like marketing and operations? Because obviously, whatever we do on the marketing side and the cleaning cost, that's going to increase our operational cost. What are the recommendations for property managers and people who has a property out there?
Well, in my case, as Irene said, it's going to be a summer for domestic travel, domestic tourism. So of course, as my other colleague said, you have to adapt to these new domestic travelers, and perhaps a good idea, for example, to offer if they come by car, parking facilities, or to be more flexible with the pets because they are coming by car. Or for example, it's important to target old customers, clients that already know you and know their destination. They are easier to attract than new customers. So you can use remarketing or email marketing, offer a promotion. So this is going to be very successful and does not imply a high cost. And also I would recommend to facilitate the personal contact, because people, I think, is going to have more questions. It's going to, the offline bookings are going to be more common than before. So perhaps it's a good moment to put the phone on your website or WhatsApp number to facilitate the direct contact with the customers. Of course, and apart from that, show your cleaning protocol. It's going to be very important to have a plan, security plan in place, and show this protocol in your web page, in your home page, with a banner, for example. And also in the booking process, In Avantio, for example, we're already working on a system that will do it automatically. So it's very important to show it, because it's going to boost the conversions if people have the confidence that can book and stay safe in the house.
Yeah, I want to emphasize what Manuel said. All great tips, domestic travel, as he mentioned, and direct bookings. A lot of those guests are still going to book through the normal OTAs, right? Airbnb, Booking.com. And it's important to note that when people look and search for your place, they would see only the first picture there. We've seen a lot of our customers put on their first image, overlay their, sanitized, procedures. They put masks included, hand sanitizer included, even the food deliveries are included in the price and things like that. They actually put it overlay on the picture, which means that it stands out immediately. It's not just the picture of the home. It actually has labels on it, and we've seen an increase of conversion for those customers who did so. I also would say it's a great time to spread your wings and not be limited to one OTA like you used to, or to the local community, and have only travel agents booking you. Those keep, of course, but also double down on more channels than before. People are going to search in many ways, and those channels also are businesses that are trying to survive, and therefore they are going to invest in their marketing as well. You want to be sure that you'll be one of their go-to targets there. I definitely encourage you guys to maybe even unionize with some of your competitors in your area and create a blog or a website about your location. So if you have a lake that all of your vacation rentals are around a specific lake, I would definitely create a website about that lake and amazing attractions over there. It should be in Spanish, of course, because as Irene mentioned, this is going to be a season about domestic travel. So try to create a reason for people to go to that lake, maybe a video of the lake, maybe a list of the attractions there, a list of the food places that are there, maybe even include some amenities inside your kitchen, like we will stock the kitchen for you at additional cost, of course, but that means that they will have all the resources they need to barbecue or to do their own food.
Okay, Carlos, I would like to add specifically what my colleagues are talking about. I guess this would be resumed in one or two words. That means upselling and cross-selling. I guess cross-selling will be also a very important thing, as Amiad told before. Different kind of options of additional activities to include, let's say, excursions or whatever, or just to inform the customer about the options of the destination. And in this case, several tools, all of them, allow the interaction with the customer, with the final customer, and we can promote ourselves. Not we, the property managers can promote themselves with different options. And I guess this will be part of the personalized service to the final customer. We're talking about also, we have many inquiries now about automate the check-in process or the checkout process to be able to get the ID scanned by a telephone at home or whatever. I know these are already on the market. I'm just talking about that we have a lot of inquiries about this right now. And even we're talking about payments, but we do find some kind of tools in the market that allow payments on the mobile phone, and some others not. And then especially about revenue management or whatever, we have to look, I guess, into different segments and different markets. I guess every destination or area or whatever, or specialized in a property management, they have to look for what kind of customers they are, which is the goal of the customers to look for in the segments and different markets, maybe different countries or whatever. So revenue management is still very important, I guess.
Okay, Irene?
Yes, I would add. I mean, I agree with everything that my colleagues have said. I would add as well to invest in options to be able to have auto check-ins. That is, check-ins that don't require someone being there in person, right? So if you can invest, I know right now is a difficult time to invest, but if you can invest, think about putting smart locks in your apartments, about being able to provide an auto check-in option for your guests so that they can do all the process without interacting personally, face-to-face with you. Interacting with you, of course, but virtually, right? So yeah, prepare yourself for smart locks and for auto check-in. Improve your cleaning protocols, diversify channels, as Amiad said. Think about the direct marketing, as Manuel said, with your old customers, because they will trust you. That would be the recommendations.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we basically said we want to go into like a contactless environment. Basically, it's like remote payments, remote check-in.
Yeah.
Guys, and again, for everyone, how do you think this whole new guest experience is going to be changed by technology? How can we be ready? Are we getting into a new era where hospitality is not you touch people, you talk to them, you emphasize the experiences and everything that, you know, a lot of platforms have been investing a lot on the experience around the whole accommodation. How can we deliver that quality service and leave a mark on their memories without being so? It looks like it's very challenging to be personal now.
So I would say personalization is key here, right? So I would think most people would travel with their families now, asking to be isolated from other people. They don't want to be super next to people they don't know and are afraid that they might, be contagious, right? So most people would look for this. And the beauty of hospitality is you can do it even without being there by being personalized. So if over your communication, you've talked about how this is their anniversary or this is a special moment, I would probably leave them a note congratulating them, maybe a bottle of wine, some balloons, maybe a cake that comes to their villa. I think everything that you do around the stories and the things that they share with you and trying to make it memorable are going to be the key things that will make your experience last and, being recommended to others. And that definitely doesn't necessarily need to include, checking in them personally. You can and you should definitely use smart locks. You should use self-check-in procedures. I think most youngsters would actually even prefer it these days anyway. So in many countries, we see it happening even before COVID-19. Now it just accelerated and being embraced by the rest of the world. Just like working from home procedures are kind of like something that the rest of the world is going to get used to.
Anybody want to make another comment on this? Okay, there's a lot of questions as well. Thank you, Matt. Like cross-selling, and this is something actually that happened as well in hotels. They were saying here we've got Adriano and Maria. There's a lot of obviously everybody's trying to capture all the potential sales that is out there. We see that there is a competitive advantage on vacation rental because it's a safe environment, it's private. It's an environment that they can control. So the family is going to confinement into another environment, but it's a safe environment because, again, we have that professional cleaning, etc. All that protocols that we're going to apply. How, like that sale that we're going to try to capture all the property managers. Are you guys doing anything with cross sales, or what are the options and recommendations regarding to that?
In Avantio, we are now offering cross-selling to our customers, so they can interchange the properties between them. So this could be interesting. It's not the cross-selling other products, it's cross-selling other properties, but it's also a way of cross-selling. It can be interesting, I think, if your software allows it, because perhaps as now there are a lot of limitations and restrictions, perhaps your clients, your former clients, they have some needs that you cannot provide. They want, for example, villas with pool, and you have restricted, so you can recommend other villas, so you don't lose the client. So this is something we are doing in Avantio now, using this feature.
Would you guys recommend, because there are a lot of property managers and they come to the association and say like, we should have our own property management platform, let's say like our own website. Like you've probably followed the news that France is developing their own OTA. Do you guys think this is the right moment to do it for property managers if we get together or is this something you wouldn't recommend? What's your view on this?
Let me talk about that. I guess it would be a very good, interesting, let's say, future for everybody. But the main goal or the main problem at this time for a common platform is to have the people to update the inventory and price at that platform. If they don't do it, there have been many tries before, and many associations failed to create that platform because people or hotels or property managers didn't update the prices and the inventory. So, of course, the main challenge is to have everything integrated. In this case, with different PMS, with different third-party solutions or whatever tools, and that's the main challenge, I guess, of a common platform.
Okay, that's a good point.
I think that there is a lot of investment and a lot of behind a portal or a lot of marketing. And I think it's going to be very difficult for an association to achieve, to invest so much in order to get a big volume of clients. So I think it's not easy. It's not an easy task. It's not impossible, but it's not easy. It's going to be very difficult. The traditional portals and big OTAs, they invest millions and millions each year. They have a lot of big customer base already, and they have a big inventory, so people can choose between millions and apartments and villas. So it's going to be very tough, I think, it's my opinion, for an association to build a portal and to maintain it. So we'll need a lot of investment, too much perhaps, to be successful.
Especially
that's my opinion.
To drive traffic through it. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You guys, Amiad or Irene, like, you see that there are a lot of like distributed teams. What is happening? Like, obviously, this is changing the way we work in. A lot of people is going back to, if they don't have a remote check-in, they're going back to private check-in. Obviously, with all the safety requirements. Are you guys like having any tools for that distributed teams?
For sure. I think that from day one, we created our platform as a cloud platform accessible from anywhere. That starts with a mobile app. So everyone anywhere can access the dashboard, work on the reservations, work on the pricing, work on messaging with guests and with owners and blocking dates and everything from their mobile app. We also have our Guesty unified inbox. So all the messages from all the channels and emails and even WhatsApp, we actually just launched WhatsApp, are being pulled into one unified inbox, and all the team can work remotely and respond to each message and even share internal messages. Like if someone is asking for a discount and you want to ask your superior, hey, can I give them this property instead, or can I give them 20% if they close this, or is the pool open? You can leave that as internal message, then respond on WhatsApp or respond on Airbnb. Everything is available at the unified inbox. And also we have our task management tool that allows you to completely manage your entire staff of cleaners and maintenance and inspections, all from within our platform. So everything is accessible remotely. I think the future of work is not going to be the same as it was, right? So I think people expectations are going to be now that they would be able to work remotely if needed. We don't yet know if there is going to be a second wave. I know there are most countries are opening their lockdowns now, and there is a lot of uncertainty about second wave, a lot of uncertainty about how summer with heat temperature is going to react. But it's very critical that any platform that you choose to work on is completely accessible remotely.
Great. So what do you think, guys? That's with all these challenges, like working remote, adapting all your tools, all your resources, do you see that there's going to be a different future for individual owners than for property managers? Maybe Irene? Or Boris?
Sorry.
Maybe a second, or any of you, just because you know we have a big difference. We got companies that they got an office, big team, we having managing maybe 100 properties, and then we got individual owners. How do you see the future for each of them?
I guess as every crisis hits different companies and persons in a different way. So every crisis also serves as a, let's say, cleaning of the market, and I guess a lot of people, even companies, of course, will disappear, and the challenges for the main ones, not the big ones, those that can adapt themselves to the different situations and to the new challenges, they will survive and they will get even more powerful out of this crisis, and others simply will disappear.
I actually think, I don't have numbers, okay, just my opinion, but I think that individual owners, like really small owners, will probably have more troubles to survive. Like, it's better if they just put their properties into a property manager, because like the standards of being professional in this community, in the property managers community, will be higher. Hosts will expect better standards and higher standards, and that's work. That's out of work that only a company can provide, not one person. But just an opinion. I don't have numbers.
I think it also depends on the property manager itself. If it sees this as an opportunity, and I think it is in some way, he can take profit on that, because perhaps there are going to be a lot of owners, individual owners, that are getting any bookings, and if he can just profit the situation and give them an offer, and they see that he's moving, he's doing a good job, he's offering the owners flexibility, possibilities, he's getting bookings. Oh, so these property managers that are active, that are chasing the market, I think that can be can take a lot of individual owners that don't have this possibility, that they don't have that so creative. They can't comply with these cleaning protocols, so these standards. So I think there's an opportunity for the property managers that are flexible, that want to grow, and of course I think so. Yeah.
Maybe Amiad, you have some comments?
I think I would just repeating what my fellows here said before me. So I definitely, emphasizing everything that they said.
There's a fear a little bit that's obviously, Manuel, as you're saying, like those cleaning costs are going to be expensive, because we're going into a crisis. Like after we get heated and we start seeing the effects of this crisis, like maybe a lot of people is not going to be able to afford a property manager. So eventually they will go back to manage it themselves. So that was also part of the question. Like, do you see this a threat eventually of, because in most of the forums, as you guys are saying, like Boris was saying as well, that we're going to clean the markets and have the better operators. What's happening here in many markets is what we see is that a lot of short term, they're going into long term. Amiad was talking about going into the midterm, which is also happening now with corporate accommodation and people for work. So is there a threat? Is there a serious threat that we should consider, that we're going to lose a lot of inventory and we're going to lose a lot of property managers?
Well, I think, Carlos, that is crucial this time to talk with your owners, to open a communication with them. It's very important to inform them the measures you are taking, the marketing steps. If they see you active, if they see you being creative, working for them, I think they want to stay with you. They're not going to go elsewhere. On the contrary, if they think that you are just, passive and doing nothing and bookings are gone, so they are going to look for alternatives. So I think it's going to depend on your attitude, on your efforts. So I think we have to see it as an opportunity. It's true, it's an opportunity also.
As Hitchcock said before, if any crisis is also a reason for opportunity, and any lost crisis is missed opportunity. So I think that all of you guys should see this crisis as an opportunity to win over your competitors, do things that are innovative, renew your software stack, automate more of your procedures, professionalize your team using your technology, and overall improve your whole marketing and everything. I think that if you do everything correctly, you can not only survive but grow out of it strong. Guesty, for example, we look at this pandemic crisis as a way for us to not only focus more about what we're doing, but also improve our technology, look at our customers and seeing what are they doing right, which ones are winning right now, and how can we take those learnings and improve the rest of our customer base. And yeah, definitely make a lemonade out of these lemons.
Not different. There's, what we realize as well, like in other markets, the professionalization of the industry comes a lot with you guys, with the PMS, because you realize you start growing your inventory and you realize you need to optimize your operations or your procedure. There's a lot of people asking here, like, because obviously international travelers, normally they pay more for the same products. Like people say that, like domestic tourism, maybe because they have it and they're used to it, they don't appreciate it that much. That's a comment we see across. There's fear that we're not going to be able, there's going to be another supply, and we're not, like, all destinations are not going to be able to survive just with domestic tourism. So I don't know if you got any data. It's very difficult to have a guess and to predict and forecast anything, but how do you think would be the recovery for our industry?
Sorry, go on. Yeah.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we already started to see this recovery happening in some of the countries. United States lead the path with almost 75% of the daily reservations as they used to have. Then we have other countries that are already at 40%, 30%. Many of the European countries are still now recovered. Still, we don't see the numbers going up. I think that the recovery will definitely, as people before me said, start with domestic travel, a lot of family leisure since schools are closed. I don't see people after 2 months or 3 months of lockdown going back to work. I think that many of the people would, crave for a summer travel with their family. Yeah, going out, having those 2 weeks of open air, probably more of vacation areas rather than urban. Most people would not go into urban markets. They would go into vacation areas. And once those international bubbles will be formed. We will start seeing more and more of these international travel picking up. I think urban markets, if some of you guys have urban inventory, would start recovery more with isolation units, more with older family members who needs to stay a little bit distant from their family for safety. I think if school opens and people go back to normal, they should at least stay far from their older family members just because of the higher risk involved. And we will see a lot of more of those isolation units, or as we call it, quarantiners. We also see some first responders, hospital medical workers who need to stay close to their hospitals just because of their shifts are super fast, or because of their exposure to sick people, and they want to stay far from their family, at least from occasion. So we will see gradual rolling back. And we already seeing that. It is in a rhythm just like normal travel. It's not like, drastic. It's kind of like the rhythm of high on weekends, slow, and then high on weekends, and then slow. But it's growing every day. I can tell you that week over week, we have almost 82% increase in the last 2 weeks comparing to the previous month. 82% increase. So people are already sick and tired of lockdowns. They're already making reservations. We're seeing it in the data. Some European countries are still slow on that, Spain included. But I don't believe that the Spanish people are any different than the rest of the world. Having Spanish blood myself, I can tell you that I like to travel just like anyone else. And the moment the international travel is open, I'll be the first one on a plane. So I think that very slowly and gradually we will see travel pick up again. It's not the end of our ecosystem at all.
Yes. Awesome. Manuel?
Yeah, totally agree with Amiad. The travel is going to recover. We see this already in some countries, as I said before. For example, Switzerland, Central Europe, because there are countries that were less affected by the pandemic, and also the movement restrictions were lifted much before than other countries. So the countries that have restrictions lifted before are now recovering faster. So as restrictions and confinement is going to end, countries are going to recover. I agree with Amiad on that. That's for sure. Yeah.
Boris, what kind of recovery would you expect?
I agree with my colleagues, but I don't want to be pessimistic, but I'm still having my doubts if anybody can travel due to the economic situation right now. So I guess it will be also a problem. People want to travel, but will they be able to travel and to spend the money that they have spent before? I don't know. There is a lot of course, there's a lot of people still having money and it's a big market, but I still have my doubts if during this summer people will slow down or whatever the vacation. I guess of course there will be people increasing they stay, and still there are a lot of people traveling around, but I still have my doubts if international flights, if all these tourism industry will recover in the short term. I still have my doubts.
Okay. Irene?
Okay, so, well, I agree with my colleagues as well. I actually, as Boris said, I don't think that this summer we will have international tourism. I think it will be domestic, sadly. All the properties that are in the big cities or in the urban regions, they are trying to think with Christmas already. They already think that they have lost the summer, and they are trying to think about the autumn and winter season. Of course, for the vacational rentals that only open in summer, that's not an option. So these ones, if we are lucky, which I try to be optimistic, will be mostly domestic or really close, like in the north of Spain. Maybe if the frontiers open, we will be able to have French people there. Another thing that we will maybe have, this is not like the solution, of course, but I have already seen people that have already rented a property to go outside to remotely work, to continue to work remotely, but not at home, because everyone is fed up of being at home, right? So they're going to go to an apartment or to a villa just to be outside, like Amiad said, I think, just to be outside, not at home, not in the city center, in the countryside, in the coast, whatever, to continue working at there. So we have already seen some of these type of reservations, that it's a new type of traveling, really short-term type of traveling, of course. And yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Just to finalize, if you guys got a final takeaway for our audience?
Well, I want to say that we have to be optimistic that travel is going to recover. So now it's time to prepare. They're going to be, as I said before, a lot of last minute bookings. So prepare your website, prepare your renew your software, do your job, because bookings are going to come and business is going to recover.
Boris?
Yes, once again I agree, and I'm also confident that the market will recover, even if I have still my doubts. But in any event, I have been following all different questions and on the chat and everything. I guess there are many solutions out there. We have a lot of tools that can improve the management of the property owners and the property managers. And I guess that's, as we mentioned at the very beginning, this is a challenge for us as a software company, and to offer all these different customers out on the market, different new solutions to adapt ourselves to the new strategies, to new payments and whatever. Let me just say one small thing at the end. 2 years ago, people came to me, a company came to me, and we're talking about facial recognition to have check-in. I said at that time, I guess that will be maybe an option within 5 or 10 years, but maybe it's right now. So we have to adapt ourselves to the new challenge, to the new offers, the new tools. And just talking about facial recognition, it may be in the very near future an option for different apps and solutions. Thank you to everybody.
Irene?
Final thoughts. Well, I agree with my colleagues that everyone has said what I think. We are trying to be optimistic. We are helping our property managers in this time that they have like almost no work, to do all the work to improve their properties, to improve everything that they have, all their listings online, to do all this work that they usually can't, to be prepared for when the bookings get back, or when the reservations start coming back. So now it's the time to improve everything that they have.
Thank you.
Yeah. So just to summarize, normal times we're so swamped and busy, right? The owners want something, the guests are asking for stuff, our employees quit, and we need to train new ones. This is a perfect time to take a breath, look at what we have, overview everything that we have done, and think about all the things that we wanted to improve throughout the last year and didn't have time to. Now it's the time. I definitely encourage, technology, because I'm a technology provider, and I think that technology can automate much of the daily work that we continuously do on our, in this super operational manual job, I encourage each and every one of you guys to demo, all of us. You have time, so look at our websites, click request a demo, see an example of the automation tools, ask questions about how can we save you guys money, ask questions about how can we get you more demand. Our job is to improve your life, and this is the right time to learn from our other customers. We've invested a lot of resources. I think even during this time, we continue to invest a lot of resources. Guesty is continuing to improve and build more and more functionality every year, maybe accounting, channels, everything. So we want to make sure that you guys can experience it and learn from the rest of our customers that are already, as I mentioned, recovering from this, and giving you tips from all and every one of them. And that's it. Whoever trains well in training time wins at the wartime. So this is the right time to work and prepare, or sell your company. That's another option. But I guess it's better to sell your company in high season and not in slow season.
Okay, anyway, thank you very much. We'll be sending some more information from all the attendees. Actually, I know you got some links and some material you wanted to share with the audience, so we'll be sending that to all of them by email. And I'll see you guys on the next webinar with Vitur. Thank you very much for...
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
for inviting us.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Yeah,
bye-bye.
Thank you everybody for listening and participating on this webinar.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.